She was just another mechanic in a bustling auto shop, a young black woman with hands smeared in grease and dreams bigger than anyone could see. But today wasn't going to be ordinary. The engine in front of her was notorious. Nobody had fixed it in months, and the man who ran the shop looked down at her with a smirk full of doubt, his words dripping with condescension. "If you fix this engine, I'll make you CEO." Laughter echoed in the room, and every eye seemed to weigh her worth, judging her before she even touched the tools. Her heart raced. Could she prove them all wrong? Could she rise above the mocking tones, the whispered doubts, the invisible walls stacked against her, and change her life forever? Today, everything was on the line. From the moment she walked into the auto shop, she felt the weight of invisible eyes on her. Her name was Maya, a 24-year-old mechanic whose love for engines had started as a child, tinkering with her father's old car in their small neighborhood garage. Every day she had fought against stereotypes, people assuming she was just another girl, incapable of handling the heavy work, dismissing her knowledge before even asking her name. But she had something they didn't: determination. The shop was a cacophony of clanging metal and revving motors, a place where skill spoke louder than words, yet prejudice often spoke even louder. The lead engineer, a seasoned man with decades of experience, barely concealed his disbelief at her presence. His colleagues exchanged smirks and whispered jokes, the kind that made her blood boil and her fists clench inside her pockets. She had faced these moments before, subtle but sharp, slicing into her confidence in ways no one could see. Maya's eyes scanned the shop floor as she approached the engine in question. It was massive, complicated, and had defeated every mechanic who dared to touch it. The challenge itself was intimidating, but the real challenge lay in proving herself in a world that constantly doubted her. Every turn of the wrench would not just be a test of skill, it would be a statement. The mocking words of the lead engineer echoed in her mind. "If you fix this, I'll make you CEO." They were meant to belittle, to mock, to remind her of her place. But in that moment, Maya made a silent promise to herself. She would not be defined by their judgment. As she rolled up her sleeves and approached the engine, the room seemed to hold its breath. Every motion, every decision mattered. She knew one thing for certain: this was not just about fixing a machine. This was about breaking barriers, challenging expectations, and confronting a world that had underestimated her at every turn. Maya took a deep breath, letting the familiar scent of motor oil and metal sharpen her focus. She studied the engine carefully, tracing every wire, every bolt, every hidden problem that had stopped dozens of mechanics before her. The room was quiet, but the silence was heavy, eyes lingering on her every move, judging, waiting for failure. She could feel their skepticism pressing down like a physical weight. Every time she lifted a tool, a whisper floated across the shop. "She'll never get it right." Hours passed, and the engine refused to yield. Sparks flew from a stubborn wire. A bolt she needed seemed impossible to remove. Her hands shook, her muscles ached, and doubt crept into her mind for the first time. Was she really capable of this? Was this ambition just a dangerous dream? She thought of the years she'd spent proving herself, the nights she had stayed late fixing cars that no one else wanted to touch, the endless ridicule she had endured. She remembered her father's words: "Skill doesn't care who you are. Keep at it, and the world will have to notice." Then came the snide comment from the lead engineer, loud enough for the whole shop to hear. "Maybe you should stick to something lighter, like cleaning up. Engines are for men." A few mechanics chuckled. Maya's chest tightened, anger and hurt mixing like gasoline and fire. But instead of retreating, she let it fuel her. Each click of a wrench became sharper, more precise. Her focus intensified. This was no longer just about proving them wrong, it was about proving herself right. As the hours dragged on, the engine began to respond. A stubborn component shifted under her hands, a blockage cleared, and she could almost hear the engine sigh with relief. But the real battle was not mechanical, it was emotional. Every success was accompanied by sneers, every small victory met with reluctant glances or scoffs. The shop's walls felt like they were closing in, the air thick with disbelief and bias. Yet in the midst of the tension, Maya found clarity. She could feel her skill, her intuition, her patience aligning perfectly. By late afternoon, fatigue tugged at her limbs, but she refused to stop. One last adjustment, one final turn, and the engine roared to life. The sound reverberated through the shop like a drumbeat of triumph. Heads turned, jaws dropped, the lead engineer's smirk faltered, replaced by a flash of shock he could not hide. For the first time that day, the room was silent, not with judgment, but with awe. Maya stepped back, sweat dripping from her brow, heart racing. Not from exhaustion alone, but from the realization that she had shattered every expectation in that room. She looked around at the faces that had doubted her, and for a moment the weight of history, centuries of bias, centuries of being underestimated, felt like it had lifted. But she also knew the journey wasn't over. This victory, though immense, was only the beginning. She had proven something undeniable. Skill, determination, and courage could not be confined by prejudice. And as the engine hummed steadily, powering life into a machine that had been deemed impossible, Maya felt the first stirrings of something greater, a chance to reshape not just the shop, but the world that had doubted her. The engine roared to life, and for a brief moment, the entire shop seemed frozen in disbelief. The mocking laughter, the whispered doubts, the sneers, they all evaporated in an instant, replaced by a stunned silence. Maya's hands trembled, not from fatigue, but from the raw surge of triumph that coursed through her. Every second of ridicule, every assumption made about her because of the color of her skin, every dismissive glance, all of it converged in this single, undeniable victory. The lead engineer's face twisted with a mix of shock and disbelief. He opened his mouth, perhaps to regain control, to reclaim the authority he had wielded so carelessly, but no words came. The room, once heavy with judgment, now vibrated with tension. Eyes that had mocked her now widened in awe, some with reluctant admiration, others with the sharp sting of having been proven wrong. For a moment, time itself seemed to pause, as if the world recognized the significance of what had just happened. Maya stepped back from the engine, chest heaving, arms trembling, her mind replaying every obstacle she had faced to reach this moment. Every stereotype she had fought against, every barrier erected to keep her in her place, had culminated in this singular, undeniable statement. She belonged here, in this room, in this world, on her own terms. The engine's hum was more than a sound. It was a declaration, a message that talent and perseverance could not be confined by prejudice. The lead engineer finally spoke, his voice a mix of disbelief and forced respect. You did it. I never thought. But Maya didn't need his validation. She didn't need anyone's permission. The room's energy had shifted, subtly yet profoundly. Where once there had been doubt and derision, now there was recognition. A quiet acknowledgement that barriers could be broken, and that courage, skill, and determination could rewrite expectations. Maya stood back, watching the engine purr steadily, a symbol of her determination and skill. The shop, once a place of doubt and derision, now felt transformed, not just by the roar of the machine, but by the undeniable truth of her victory. She had done more than fix an engine. She had shattered assumptions, defied stereotypes, and proven that talent and courage could overcome systemic barriers. Every gaze in the room carried a new respect, and even the harshest critics could not deny what she had accomplished. Word of Maya's achievement spread quickly, reaching not just her colleagues but the wider community. She became a symbol of perseverance, a reminder that opportunity is earned through skill and resilience, not limited by gender, race, or preconceived notions. For young black girls watching, she became a beacon, proof that their ambitions were valid and attainable, even in spaces designed to dismiss them. For those who doubted, her success was a quiet yet powerful challenge. The world will judge you, yes, but excellence can never be silenced. Maya herself felt a deep, transformative shift. The victory gave her more than recognition. It gave her agency, confidence, and a vision of the future she could shape. She realized that breaking through barriers wasn't a one-time act. It was a continuous process of perseverance, self-belief, and courage. And though the journey ahead was still filled with challenges, she now knew she had the power to confront them head-on. As she left the shop that day, Maya glanced back at the engine one last time, a quiet smile forming. It wasn't just a machine. It was a testament to what is possible when talent meets determination, when courage meets opportunity. And for everyone who witnessed her journey, the lesson was clear. Never underestimate what someone can achieve when the world tries to tell them no. What about you? How will you confront the doubts and biases in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this story inspired you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of courage and resilience.